There are two possibilities to save values in Swift: variables and constants. We'll take a look at both and at the differences between them. We'll first create a variable that we'll just call myVariable. We can do that by using the keyword var followed by the name we want our variable to have. In our case, myVariable. For this case, we set its value to the integer 5 by just writing is equal to 5. In this variable name, you already see a programming typical form of writing. Beginning a name with a lowercase letter here, and for each new word, in our case variable, start with an uppercase letter and no spaces. This is widely used in many programming languages, and you should probably stick to most of the common practices since it makes it easier for you to understand code written by others, as well as it makes your code more readable to them. Let's get back to our variable. We have created a variable called myVariable and set its value to 5. In our right column, again we see the value printed out. Now, since this is a variable, we can always change its value. If we just write myVariable is equal to 6, we now see 6 in the right column. And this is now the value of our variable. Note how we did not have to write the keyword var at the beginning. This is because we already created the variable and can now access it by just using the name we've given it. One important note at this point: you can only change the value of a variable if the new value is of the same type, in our case an integer value. We'll have a closer look at types in our next lecture. For now, we are just going to look at constants and how they are different from variables. For this, we are going to create a constant by using the keyword let, and we will just call it myConstant and give it the value 10 by writing is equal to 10. So far, everything is exactly the same as with our variable, and we see 10 printed in the right column. But now try to change the value of our constant to, say, 11 by writing myConstant is equal to 11. Again, we do not have to write let at the beginning because myConstant already exists. If I try to do this, I get this error here. Cannot assign to value, myConstant is a let constant. This is because myConstant is a constant, and that means once its value is set, it cannot be changed. You might ask why one would even use constants, since it is essentially the same thing as a variable, minus the ability to change its value. Well, oftentimes when developing a program or application, you have a value that will never change, and it is convenient if you get this error, if you accidentally try and change it. But the most important thing is that you should, if possible, always use constants instead of variables, since they are handled faster by the compiler. The reason is just plain simple: because the compiler does not have to account for the possibility that the value of this might be changed later on in the code. Perfect. We have already learned about two very important cornerstones of the Swift language. In the next lecture, we will have a look at types and how to implicitly and explicitly declare them.